Now it's time for Tipisodes with quick tips you should know. Techniques you can implement into your workflow right here on A Tale, oh yeah, A Tale of Two Hygienists.
My name is Lori Angdahl, and I am a dental hygienist based in the beautiful Pacific Northwest in Washington. And before I actually get into what I wanted to chat about today, I wanted to briefly introduce myself. I graduated dental hygiene school in 2016 from Pima Medical Institute in Seattle. I was actually previously a dental assistant before that and an office manager. And I also obtained a bachelor's degree prior to that just because I knew it would get me extra points to get into dental hygiene school, which was quite expensive, but it was well worth it. I learned a lot. So I would say I consider myself a lifelong learner, but it definitely does sway from the dental hygiene field. When I first graduated, probably like a lot of new grads, or I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I practically worked probably about 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, and I even offered some Sundays a lot of the time. I did love the money, but I really also loved the freedom it gave me after coming out of school and doing a 3-hour-long appointment with everything being checked, and then going into about 45 minutes of just doing everything on your own, like everyone trusted you, and it was super weird, but it actually backfired a little bit on me. My very first patient out of school, I was temping at a job, and she was a dental hygienist who worked at a community health clinic, so she couldn't get her teeth cleaned there, but they gave her insurance, and she was able to come to the office I was at. But nonetheless, she taught me a lot, and I got through it, and here we are. But really why I'm here today is I wanted to talk actually New Year's resolutions. And I know people say that you can make New Year's resolutions or resolutions any time of the year. It doesn't have to be New Year's. But for me, it really sits in because I feel like it's almost like a celebration. It's an acknowledgement. Everyone's aware of it. Yeah, the gyms get crazy and people fall off. But for one, I don't think that's something that people should be proud of or make fun of. People are really trying out there. I see a lot of memes come out about that. But I do feel like for me, it's just New Year's is kind of like a clean, fresh start. Almost kind of like any time of the month, or any change of the month rather, because anytime I wipe off my calendar or switch to the next month and have, like a new calendar to start fresh or a new week or a Monday or something, it just feels so much better. So really with all of that, we're not just going to be talking about my clinical resolutions as a hygienist, but also my resolutions as a working mom of two. I have a 1.5 and a 3.5-year-old, a small business owner, and pretty much how all of these aspects of my life just intersect. So first, let's talk about my top 3 probably clinical resolutions for this year. Currently, I am working only 1 day a week clinically, and I am also working a few days, usually a week right now, for Arcora with Delta Dental as I screen kids for their Smile survey. But clinically, working on patients for my 8-hour day is 1 day a week on Mondays. And I'm not sure, I don't think I've always had the best ergonomics, so this is my number 1, but I'm not sure if it's because it's 1 day a week or maybe I just need to get through the day, but number 1 for me is ergonomics and self-care. It's actually been on my mind for years to invest in new loops. I know there's a lot of ergonomical loops out there, comparatively to my 2016 loops that I got while I was in school, or I guess it was 2015 or 14 at that point. But with my reduced work hours, just because of the kids, I feel like I've been putting it off. And I guess I've come to realize the importance more of proper ergonomics and posture as I get older. I want to really focus on like less slouching, turning myself upside down during maybe just a cleaning or laser treatment or getting super close to the patient. And I think it can make probably a significant difference in just my 1 day comfort and definitely long-term health. But at the end of that 1 day, I'm just so achy. So I just feel like I can make a lot of changes there. It's just hard to convince myself that it's worth it half the time especially when you're in it and you're like, okay, just, 30 more seconds of being upside down, cleaning this patient's teeth for their comfort, not mine. But, 8 patients a day, that adds up. I think my number 2 would probably just better, or different is probably the better word, continuing education. I feel like I'm pretty determined most of the time in my spare time to stay busy. And I think I really need to focus a little bit more of that time into self-study, especially as a clinical hygienist. I know we get asked a lot of questions, but gosh, I just feel like I give the answers, I give my knowledge, but I feel like there's so much more that I can do besides just doing a brief answer. I feel like there's more, if I went into more studies or actually read up on things or reviewed them a little bit more, I could give a more coherent answer. Not that it would be more believable, but I think it would be more satisfying to the patient and probably to myself too for confidence. I've been really into lately the science behind the NHA toothpaste, the nanohydroxyapatite toothpaste versus fluoride toothpaste and laser therapy. And I think I just want to understand these topics, almost feels like inside out, so that I can explain their benefits to my patients more in simpler terms and relate them to their specific situations and how we can utilize them best or how they might benefit that patient specifically. And if I had to choose a third, I think it would just overall be like just quality improvement. I feel like I really value the feedback from my bosses, from the dentist, and my dental hygiene colleagues, especially at my office. We have about 6 hygienists working a day, and just catching up with them sometimes when we see each other in the hallway or in between patients, even on the, lunch hour, I feel like we give in to tips and tricks that I'm like, oh, wow, like, why didn't I know that? You've been doing that this whole time in the room right next to me. And I think that would really enhance my skills or make it easier for me and my patients. So maybe even like a little, we have a dental hygiene meeting every week that I don't always attend based on my life schedule with my kids, but just like a collaborative roundtable where we might exchange tips and tricks, or even just to enhance like consistency in the office, which they probably do more than I do together. But I think it'll just add to the effectiveness in my patient care. And I think that's something that I'm more excited to explore or be a part of this year. Now, I know a lot of hygienists out there are working moms as well, or working dads, and I think I want to shift a little bit to the focus of like maybe my top 3 resolutions as a working mom personally, and I also own my small business, so it's just kind of a lot to juggle, but I absolutely love working. Sometimes I feel guilty about it, but I really shouldn't. I'm not the mom that just sits and plays with cars or has these great in-depth educational days set up for my kids. I just love to work, and I'm always thinking about it. I love exploring like new career paths and always thinking about what I can do to better myself and what I'm doing to not only make money, but it's just something that I do that I love. I like to challenge myself. So with my kids so young right now, it's just a bit challenging to find that balance. And I don't know that there's a balance, but it's just you have to make certain hours worth certain things, I guess, at once. So you can't do both. Like, it takes me like 3 hours to write one email sometimes just because I'm interrupted by the kids so often. So I think here's my resolutions that I'm thinking of that kind of bridge the gap between more of my professional and personal life when it comes to dental hygiene. I would say number 1 is what I've been focusing on a lot, especially this last month, especially with the little one, is more intentional family-only time. So instead of trying to work while the kids are at home, I just really plan to take I think I have like 2 days because my toddler goes to school on Thursdays and Fridays. I plan to take at least the Tuesday, Wednesday that I have each week and explore new local activities and parks with them, or taking them out of the house for a few hours. I think it's just going to be a lot easier for all of us. They get more tired, they're happier, get to explore more. And really, I think it's more about just being fully present. That there's a big social media push about this, actually, especially for those of us who like to sit and scroll sometimes just to kind of bow out of our mind. But something with no emails, no phone checking, just quality time together. I think that's something that a lot of parents, especially in this day and age, have. It's not as easy anymore. And with everything that's available to us and the fact that we can work from home, so it's just like a never-ending work shift. And just with social media these days, it's just something that we all try to focus on. And it's a lot of the time easier said than done. I would say maybe my number 2 is kind of alongside of my business is just having dedicated work hours. I think I'm embracing more of the idea of maybe creating structured time blocks. I know people thrive off of that, but for different tasks. So whether it's like a self-improvement hour or a bookkeeping hour or working on creative projects, maybe illustrating my next book, something more set in time blocks. It's not like I'm just going to be like, 30 minutes is up, I'm going to stop where I'm at. But I think that taking it hour by hour could be a little bit more crucial than I think, just in setting probably personal growth milestones, prioritizing work in certain stages, something that might be able to be done before the kids wake up, which isn't always easy. I feel like they know when I wake up, so that's when they want to wake up, or maybe late at night when they're asleep, or that hour, maybe 2 hours after dinner before they go to bed. Something a little bit more with time management. I really, really love variety. I don't like consistency, but I think that's probably necessary so I don't tend to go insane and get very stressed. Number 3, I guess it's kind of similar, but I would say maybe more dedicated self-care time. And this kind of ties into the clinical and personal resolutions, just to really achieve like all my career aspirations, because it's a never-ending list, and stay mentally and physically fit. I would say I need to prioritize more self-care. I think my Peloton bike has been waiting for me in the cold garage for probably way too long now. A short workout is better than nothing. We all know that. It always has made me happier. It's always something I used to prioritize prior to kids. So I just really need to take the time to make it part of my routine now. Another gal and I made a group online for Peloton RDHs even, and that was really motivating throughout COVID. And then I had my second child, and the bike got pushed to the garage, and I just hate the cold. And lastly, just to touch on a little bit of maybe some of my small business resolutions that I've been thinking about a lot lately is I own an art business, so I was thinking that I really should hire a virtual assistant and look into pricing for that, for maybe some cold emailing, exploring opportunities like traveling to Airbnbs for the weekend with my husband, and maybe undertaking like a one-day mural project. And that sounds really exciting. And making these ventures in my head a reality, and having a virtual assistant to help with the outreach and coordination could be a game changer, so I don't have to sit down all day and write those emails while my kids are climbing on me like a little gym. Number 2 is, I would say, and this might actually be number 1, I don't know, but I think I've done a lot of small projects. I've had a lot of personal growth, some business growth. In the last few years, I've made a lot of transitions just to find what I really want to spend my focus on. And right now, I've made a fair amount of money off of my, what I call side gig, but it's more full-time than dental hygiene. And it's a lot more work running a business on your own and doing everything from bookkeeping, social media management, all these things. So my number 2 goal would be I want a project that's more than I've made prior. So to put a number out there, I want to make a mural or a project that's worth paying me about $20,000 and aiming to make maybe my year goal $100,000 from it. And that sounds crazy and ambitious, especially with everything I have going on, but nothing else will push me to kind of like hone my skills and pursue opportunities in this field without at least setting a goal and putting that out there so I have something to strive towards. And I think number 3 on that one would just be diving into projects that I've been longing to start. So it's like I've made hats. I've made personalized pens, like little projects here and there that I've spent money and time on. But it's time to turn like the other 50 projects that I've had sitting in my art room into reality and probably make the most of my creative passions and just see if that's something I want to continue to pursue. Because so many times I've bought something that I thought looked really fun and engaging for myself, thinking like this would be really cool and I think people would really like this. And then I get bored with it. So then it just sits in my closet. So I would say in conclusion, 2024 is probably just going to be, hopefully, a year filled with all these resolutions in these 3 different parts of my life that really just bridge the gap together. So my roles as a dental hygienist, a working mom or parent, an entrepreneur, like it's about finding balance. But something I've even heard Andrew say is like, I don't think there's a balance. I think you just have to nurture it all together and accept it. It's more about acceptance and just focusing on the well-being of it and being confident and happy with it, pushing boundaries of what I know I can achieve. I hope this resonates with a lot of the everyday dental hygienists, as we call them. Even if you're just a part-time clinical hygienist, maybe you own a side business, maybe you're a full-time hygienist, just living the life as a hygienist and you're loving it. Maybe you're a parent and maybe you're like me and trying to juggle all 3 and seeing how life works out for you. Either way, I thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope that my resolutions might inspire you to maybe set your own, work towards a brighter and more fulfilling future in dental hygiene for yourself. So cheers to a year of growth, finding your passion, challenging or bettering yourself, and finding that confidence that I believe myself and you all deserve.
A tale of 2 hygienists.